Welcome to the Transform Your Wealth and Health podcast, where experts in wealth, health, and fitness help transform your life. Here's your host, Andy Arter.
Despite a difficult upbringing, today's guest has achieved so much in such a short space of time, transforming his life from depressed teenager with suicidal thoughts to mentor, coach, and property millionaire with a six-figure income in under 2 years. He's done lots more too, and today he's going to tell us all about it. It's Alexander Seery. Alex.
Hi Andy, how you doing?
Hi, how are we doing?
Yeah, very well, thank you. You well?
Yeah, good, thank you. Yeah, very good. Just talking to you earlier, we've had a few bits and pieces of discussions, etc. stuff we're going to talk about today, and there was so much to try and put into an introduction. I couldn't get it all in, really. You've got so many things that you've achieved, and it's all happened so quickly. So.
Chance.
Yeah, I'm trying to put things in there, but especially you've done other things too. You've kept yourself really fit and modelled as well. So do you want to tell us a little bit about your early life and how you built up towards doing all these things?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm from Nottingham in the East Midlands, from a town called Hucknall. So I grew up fairly average. I went to primary school and secondary school, probably average student, you'd say. Got average GCSEs and went to sixth form college, but then I dropped out of sixth form college because I just didn't like the education that I was getting. Really, I was really bored and I wanted to start earning money. So I dropped out of sixth form college and basically started working in sales environments and stuff, and I didn't really like that either. I didn't really like having a job, even though the money was great. I just didn't like kind of being dictated by people. So as I was kind of growing up as well, I got my first job probably when I was 17, I think.
You switching in and out of jobs?
I don't think so, no. So I got made redundant on my first job just because I think it was about 2008 when everything kind of went upside down in the market. So I got made redundant due to, do you remember Tiscali Broadband? Mm-hmm. Yeah, I used to work for them, but I think they might have gone under and I got laid off, made redundant. And this is when I was like 17, 18, and I was getting really good income. But what had happened after that, it was a bad kind of thing I fell into. Growing up, my dad left home when I was 10 years old. So this man I loved with all my heart kind of walked out, never to be seen again, leaving me, my brother and my mother. And growing up with my mother was very difficult, and we weren't always close and we clashed. And as I grew older, it kind of got worse and worse and worse.
Father figures sometimes in your life to help mentor you.
Absolutely, yeah. Well, so my uncle Mark, who's been a big kind of influence in my life actually, but even though he was my uncle and he's great and he treated me like a father, he would take me away on holidays and buy me things and kind of give me real good life lessons, and it helps as well because he's a business owner and an entrepreneur. But having your dad not there in the household is still quite difficult. And growing up with my mother, the relationship deteriorated with her, and we weren't in the best loving relationship really. So at age of 19, things were kind of really bad, and I started getting very depressed. So I wouldn't eat right, I wasn't sleeping right, I self-harming as well,
Quite serious then.
Yeah, quite serious. Not cutting, just kind of hurting myself. And I basically didn't want to be alive. Like I felt like I was lonely at the time, even though I just met the most amazing woman ever. Her name's Claire. I'm still with her today, 7 years on. At the time, it was lonely. It was like I wanted this love from my mum, but it wasn't there. So I remember saying to her when I was about 21, so this carried on for about 3 years, real bad time. And then 21, I remember telling her, look, I want to kill myself. I feel like killing myself. I text her, and the response I got back, let's just say it wasn't the most loving or caring response a kind of mother could give, really. So from that, there was two options I could have gone down: the route of actually doing something and hurting myself even more, or feeling sorry for myself, or playing the victim, or actually do something about it. So this actually kind of, in a weird, strange way, kind of motivated me to change my life. So at the age of 21, I was after my sales job, I fell into a care support role for autistic adults, getting paid about £10,000, which wasn't great at all. It wasn't really good. And from that, I decided I wanted to become wealthy. I wanted to change my life. I wanted to become more fitter. I wanted to become this person that I always wanted to be. So
what sparked it?
Yeah, so it was the depression, I believe. So it was depression. And I read a book called Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill.
Another one.
So yeah, I went on Amazon, Googled, I actually Googled how to become rich, and that book came up, Think and Grow Rich. Read that book, and my mindset started to really, really change. I was like, oh my God, why has no one ever taught me this way of thinking before? Why is this not taught in schools? Why has no one in my life taught me? From there, it was like, okay, personal responsibility. I have the decision to go and change my life. It's all on me. From that, my mindset started to change, and it actually tore me and my mother further apart. So I was thinking very kind of positive. I wanted to do things in my life, and long story short, I got kicked out of my family home. So I was kicked out, homeless for a brief period of time before my girlfriend's mother took me in, which is great, best mother-in-law ever. And growing up, actually, as well, I wanted to become a police officer, really wanted to become a police officer. And I think that was just security, really. Looking back now, probably security that I wanted in my life, having a good, secure job, etc. So although I wanted to become the successful person, I always wanted to become a police officer as well. So what I did, I applied for Nottinghamshire Police as a special constable when I was 22. And then a year later, in 2013, I joined Nottinghamshire Police working in custody as an officer. From that, I joined the environment, and when I was there, I was looking around at these officers, and most of them, majority of them, were all really not happy. They were overstretched, overworked, exhausted, really complaining about their job and stuff. And I thought to myself, what's going on? This is supposed to be my dream job. I want to become these people who I'm surrounding myself with now. And I was like, oh my God, this is such a shock. I thought you're supposed to chase the bad guys and you're supposed to be happy and stuff.
What was the reality day to day?
Reality was horrible. So officers were coming in really stressed, really stressed. They were working long, unsociable hours away from their loved ones, and obviously the low income. They weren't really feeling valued. And I can remember actually asking the officers who would come into custody and say, look, do you still enjoy your job? And the majority of them would say no. And it actually came to crunch time for me to kind of go deeper into the police force. And I firmly believe if you start using the same ingredients in life, so let's use a cake as an analogy. If I use the same ingredients for a cake and use the same kind of thing as well, I'm going to get the same results. So I thought to myself, do I want to end up like these officers who are upset? They're not passionate about their jobs. They just don't want to be there. They're there for the money. And I thought to myself, I really don't want that. So at this time, far in, I was obviously keep reading my mindset and was changing. I thought, okay, let's start building a kind of a life where I don't have to be a police officer either, but also have the freedom and flexibility and just live life to the max and live life on my terms without being dictated by anyone. So from that, I decided to say no to the career path in the police force, and I decided a life for me and my family of freedom and flexibility and all the things that you can all imagine, really, of kind of doing what you want, where you want, with whom you want, as much as you want.
You're starting to get the mindset to transforming your life. Is that where you got involved with Simon Zucchi's Property Investors Network?
That's exactly right, yeah. So from that, I found out I don't want a job anymore. Especially my dream job wasn't all what it was cracked up to be. So I decided, right, okay, I want to start learning about investments and property. But the only thing is, I didn't know a thing about property. I didn't have capital to kind of invest, really. So I knew I had to learn somehow. So what I did, I actually ordered Your Property Network magazine. With a book came with it, Property Magic. I read that book and I was like, oh my God, this is great. It's really simple laid out. So what I decided with my partner, we went on to a 3-day event, which is called the Mastermind Accelerator. And then from that, we went on the full year course. But the only problem with this is that it would cost about £18,000, which is all of mine and my partner's savings, because I got kicked out of my family home and I was saving for a house for me and my partner to live in, because I was living with my mother-in-law, right?
Decision, an opportunity versus your lifestyle. So this is the thing that you have to make a decision on, isn't it? So I obviously know where yours has gone, but you can imagine other people that are out there listening thinking, I've got an opportunity, it's going to cost me money, but where am I going to take it in the future? So I know what you mean.
Yeah, absolutely. So long story short, it was crunch time for me after this 3-day event. I had to kind of decide whether to go back to a life of mediocrity, have a job dictated by bosses and kind of the system and the rat race and get a mortgage and stuff, or take a massive leap of faith in my own abilities and my kind of resourcefulness and spend the money and try to take control of my life a bit more. So at 24, spent the £18,000, and about 2 minutes after that signing of the contract, I actually threw up. I went to the toilet, threw up everywhere. Don't know what it was to this day, probably a bit of anxiousness. but it was a lot of money spending that age. And I just thought, Jesus Christ, what have I just done? So after a few sleepless nights, crunch time came, and long story short, I had an amazing year and ended up becoming a top performer. So with zero starting capital, ended up achieving £62,000 worth of cash flow my first year, and 4 incredible JV partners, and to now, 2017, we're over 6 figures of income and ownership over £1 million worth of property. And now I coach and mentor other property investors, as well as becoming a business coach as well. So really kind of fortunate.
Excellent.
Yeah, really fortunate where I am at the minute. But you know what? This is why I love entrepreneurship, because I mean, entrepreneurs takes risks for the betterment of their lives. And looking back now, that crunch time to sign that contract, I would have done it all over again. I really would, because now I don't have to be dictated by anyone. I've freedom to do what I want.
You had a crossroads, and it could have gone one way or it could have gone the other. And sometimes I believe when we're on that fulcrum and you're one way or the other, if you're put into a desperate situation and you put your back against the wall, that's sometimes your best time and when you actually produce the goods. So you've done exactly that. Well done.
Yeah, well, I mean, as well, so I burnt my bridges, basically. I had to succeed. I had to kind of burn the boats and I had to go forward. And I also asked myself a question, you know, price of this program is £18,000. And I've joined other programs before in businesses and stuff. And I always ask myself the same question. Okay, the price of this is the amount of money that's being charged, right? But what's the cost of not doing this course? Because the cost is being in a job for the rest of my life that I'm not passionate about, being injured, being treated like crap from the public or the organization. It could be, I don't know, not seeing my family as much. It could be suffering relationships. It could be financial problems. That's the cost of not joining. And that cost is way more expensive than the actual price of the actual program I'm joining. And that's always the outlook I have when I join business programs and kind of educational programs on personal development.
That's a good way of looking at it. Now, you're an example of the kind of person we like to have on the show, because you not only have transformed your wealth and also took your opportunity to move out of your previous career into your new career, but you also keep fit and model. So ladies, calm yourself, but at some point we want to know a little bit about the modelling. But first of all, could you tell us a little bit about your fitness regime?
Yeah, it's funny. So that book, Think and Grow Rich, as well, that was the first tester for me. So I was a very skinny. I'm 5'9.5". I like to add the half on just to make me a bit taller. And I was very scrawny. I had a bit of a paunch on me, my belly, when I was like in my teenagers years. And I started kind of training in the gym because I wanted more confidence and self-esteem. I used to train like 7 days a week in the gym, really kind of started like being disciplined with it, and my body just started to transform really. So I think I was about 23 or 22 at the time, and I got approached by a photographer, 2 photographers actually, and started doing some modeling shots, fitness underwear and stuff like that, and swimwear. Now, I think it was a bit of an ego boost and also kind of a congratulations on where I've come from.
Of course, what's wrong with that?
Yeah, but it's kind of not something I want to pursue for life. It's just something for me, I suppose. But my training regime from then to now actually is 7 days a week. Monday is typically I'll train chest, Tuesday back, Wednesday legs. My legs need to be a bit bigger actually. I've had some injuries with them, but no excuses. Thursday shoulders, Friday arms, and typically the weekends are HIIT training, so high intensity cardio training. Well,
you're still obviously very committed. So how do you find time for rest and relaxation?
Yeah, so my schedule, and people think I'm a bit mad for this. So every single day I wake up at 4 a.m. and I go to bed about 4:30. Yeah, 4 a.m. Yeah, so I don't like it when it pisses me off when people say they haven't got time to achieve their goals in fitness. People say to me they haven't got time to read a book. People say to me they haven't got time to, I don't know, build a business, or I could never do that, I've got kids, and all the things that come along with the excuses. And from Oprah Winfrey to Gary Vaynerchuk, Grant Cardone, and these very successful people, we all have the same 24 hours, and it's how we use those hours. Now, if it's success in your health and fitness, whether it's success in your finance, business, or relationships, you have to sacrifice something. And for me, it's sleep. I have to sacrifice my sleep because I want to become successful rather than I like to sleep.
Yeah, I've got to say, Alex, I do exactly the same, except I probably do it the other way around to you. So I stay up late. I've been trying to transition into getting up earlier. So not 4, unfortunately, but I've been getting up about 5:30 at some time. At the moment, I've switched back to late nights. So we've had a few 3 o'clock in the morning jobs. So you're 4 o'clock in the mornings. Me and my son Dan, we do quite a lot of stuff together.
Yeah.
He, in particular, would just about be going to bed when you're getting up. But I suppose you can't do both, really, because you can't stay awake at both ends of the clock, can you?
No, you can't. And that's very important. That's going to be kind of a really bad impact on your health as well, because a lot of these you see these motivational quotes, you've got to grind, you've got to hustle. But if you're not getting your sleep, you're going to have burnout real fast. So I always make sure I have at least about 6 to 6.5 hours of sleep every night. And I always have that. So it's very important. And a lot of people think it's actually discipline in waking up, but the real discipline is actually going to bed.
Yeah.
So on time, because that's just as hard, really, especially when you're not tired.
Tough, yeah. I know what you mean, exactly.
Yeah.
Would you change anything on your journey so far?
I would, yeah. I wish I realised to take control of my life at a much younger age. So at 21, I realised this. I wish I took control when I was 18. Obviously something like 18, 17 maybe, but in hindsight I'm always going to say that. But no, I don't think I would change anything massively in regards to my journey or anything like that. No, I don't think I would. There's no opportunities where I would have thought I wish I went for that.
Okay, but how would you suggest that listeners start to transform their mindset? Because mindset's obviously an incredible thing for you, and how you started your journey was by changing your mind. So how would you say that the listeners need to approach mindset?
Yeah, absolutely. So a big one, like this is super huge as well, is like peer group. You need to control who you're hanging around with, who your surroundings are with, because they have a massive impact on how your life's going to turn out. So for me, I mean, I had some great friends when I was like growing up, my teenage years, 18, 19, but I find myself going out, drinking the weekends, getting in a bit of trouble and just suffering with hangovers, playing the Xbox and all the things. I thought to myself, I'm wasting my life. Even then I thought, God, I'm wasting my life. And I think having a peer group is important, because since being in the property game, since in business, and my mentors now, they are way more successful than me on a different level. And I think they push you and stretch you to kind of come to their level. And if you're surrounded by people who aren't successful and broke and complaining, still hating and doing all the things that not successful people do, well, you're going to be an unsuccessful person as well. So it's kind of really important that you surround yourself with a peer group who are like-minded, who want the same things in you, who want success, who want the wealth, who have good bodies and good healthy habits. Because if you don't, well, you're going to be like the people who haven't.
Yep, I understand. Who are those mentors that you've taken regular advice from?
There's probably 4 big ones. So growing up as a teenager, my uncle Mark, big influence in my life, kind of taught me wrong from right. And then probably my first investor, JV partner actually, Simon Platt, who is a very close friend and a mentor and the most amazing man. He was the first person who took a risk on me. So he joined the program with myself, and he said he saw something in me. And believe it or not, he said he saw the pictures of me from the fitness days and the photographer days. And he said, if you're that disciplined in your physique, you'll be disciplined in business as well. So I was like, okay, that's great. I appreciate that. So he took a risk on me, and we've ended up having, I think we're on our 3rd or 4th property now together, which is great. And also Simon Zucci, massive person who's kind of supported me along the way. And he's actually wrote a praise for my book, which is great. And also Daniel Priestley, co-founder of Dent Global, and also his father, Andrew Priestley. So I think that's 5 actually, 5 mentors who have had a really positive impact on my life.
I think it's important, definitely. If you've got other people to help you, you can't do this stuff on your own.
No, you can't. I think mentors as well, they see something in you that you can't see in yourself. So I think when they've guided me, I just think that I've saved so much time, so much heartache, so much stress by trying to figure this stuff out on my own. And by having mentors there, it's just really kind of boosted me to where I am now and where I'm in life. And I just think if more people reach out to mentors to get kind of a skill set or some knowledge, it will really help. And I just firmly believe you also reach out for a mentor who's got the results you want, has expertise in the industry you want to learn. So, for example, if you want to be a bus driver, you learn from a bus driver. If you want to be a fighter jet pilot, you learn from a fighter jet pilot. The same thing with business and entrepreneurship.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so going back earlier, you were saying you get up at 4 o'clock. What's your average day like?
Yeah, so I wake up at 4 a.m. So I'm a bit regimental, actually. I wake up at 4 a.m., go downstairs, 4:15, have a black coffee, write down 3 goals that I've got for my life. After that, I head to the gym, put an audiobook in on the way. Then 4:30, train at the gym for about an hour, sometimes an hour and 15, sometimes an hour and a half. On the way back, listen to the audiobook as well. Arrive back home and then go in the shower, and then I'll have kind of my protein, etc. Read 30 minutes of a book, whatever book I'm reading at the particular time, and then I'll go on to the day. So I start cracking on the day probably about 6:15 in the morning, and then I'll work probably till about, and this will change in the future I'm sure, but I work probably now till about 7 p.m. on average.
Are you working on getting that down then, I take it?
Yeah, people say work-life balance, right? And I've got massive goals for my life, and I just think work-life balance for me at the minute is a load of bull, to be honest, because look, do you think Michael Jordan had work-life balance? Do you think Kobe Bryant? Do you think Gary Vaynerchuk? Do you think Tony Robbins or J.K. Rowling or Serena Williams? I mean, these greats in the world, they didn't have work-life balance. They made a priority on something that's going to get them to the lifestyle they want, to put their name in the kind of history books. And I just think if you've got goals for yourself, and this is one for the listeners, you have to, sacrifice that work-life balance, because eventually you will get that back as soon as you put in discipline and kind of sacrifice on putting in the work to your business goals or your kind of financial goals. It's kind of a short-term loss for a long-term gain. So for me, work-life balance right now, I'm not after that at all. Because I know it's going to come in the future. And I'm teaching police officers this as well, is look, you've got a job, you've got business goals as well. You're going to have to work very, very hard for 1 or 2 years. But after that 1 or 2 years, well, you can resign from the job, you have the time back, and then you can do what you want with your life. You've got it back now.
Mm-hmm. Now, you've got a book coming out. You're going to be a public
Yes.
author. The book's called?
It's called Police Officer to Entrepreneur, the 6-Step Method for Building a Successful Business Beyond the Force. So yeah, that's going to be out in December, I believe, this year, which is quite exciting. It's basically aimed at helping ex and serving police officers in building successful businesses with entrepreneurial ideas that are fun and respectable, that will provide them with more income, time and passion so they can live life on their terms as well. The bad thing about the police force is that a lot of officers are feeling institutionalized and trapped. They're not spending enough time at home because the job is just dictating their life so much, especially with low numbers in the police force. They're not really feel valued in the police force either because of the low income and all the work they put in, and also the stress. So to this day, 248 officers have unfortunately killed themselves due to suicide. It's quite heartbreaking knowing that a job pushed someone to do that. Also, the resignation rates are going through the roof, and I just think it's really bad. So what officers are finding as well, they can't just go for another job because they've been in the police force so long and they haven't typically got a lot of life skills outside the police force because they can't put much on the CV, right? So this is why my company Shifts to Success is to help them build businesses with entrepreneur ideas because, well, they don't need a CV. They're the boss. They're in control of their own life. They can become very successful with freedom and flexibility to do what they want, where they want, as much as they want, without being dictated by anyone or anything.
Shifts to Success, that's your latest project.
Yeah, that's my latest company. So the first accelerator is going to be launching in March. We've just started putting out Facebook ads. I think a week today, we have over 280 signals of interest, which is amazing. And
what, police officers?
Yeah.
180?
So which is great. So I did a lot of research before launching the company, which is really important for any business. But literally within a week, and since the launch of the website, we've had 280 officers signal their interest, which is a really great kind of rate. We'll, however, only kind of have 30 officers at each time on the accelerators because we want to deliver a full and remarkable result for them.
Have you agreed to pledge some funds to a charity too, I believe?
Yeah, that's right. So there's two. So there's Call for Backup, which is charity to help officers who are dealing with PTSD and depression as well. So that number I just told you about, the suicide kind of rate, I really want to kind of make a difference in that. I don't want anyone kind of going through that at all. So part of the revenue from the company will be going towards Call for Backup. And also there's a buy one, give one, which helps with kind of people who buy to come onto the accelerator. Proceeds will go to helping people in third world countries as well.
Oh, that's brilliant. So I'd like to take you on to another section of the podcast, which I call Hearts and Minds. It's where we actually get involved in the emotional side of our journey. So could you tell us how you help other people to move on in their life?
Yeah, absolutely. So there's police officers are feeling very, very kind of trapped. They're not enjoying their jobs. They're not feeling very kind of fulfilled with the current path they find themselves on. And basically, the company, with the mentors we have on board, is giving them another opportunity in life. Because I don't want anyone thinking like it's too late to change, because it's not. It's only too late to change if you make that decision. So we really want to accelerate police officers into becoming their own boss and to becoming financially independent to live life on their terms. And by essence, we're creating these entrepreneurs who are going out there who are helping the economy, but also they are creating value and service in other people's lives. That's what entrepreneurs do. They create value and service in other people's lives and help solve meaningful problems. And I'm sure there's going to be police officers who join the program and turn into become successful entrepreneurs who really, they could solve like the world's most meaningful problems. I don't know if you've heard of the global goals, the 17 global goals.
I haven't personally, no.
Big 17 global goals that the world leaders have kind of actioned, that I think it's by 2020. A lot of these are going to be kind of helping and poverty and stuff. And I just think entrepreneurs have so much power in kind of changing the outcome and changing the world we shape in. So by helping police officers build successful businesses, well, they can go off and maybe change the world as we know it.
Yeah.
So that's one big thing.
Well, it's brilliant. Can we ask, is there any offers or any gifts that you might have for the Transform Your Wealth and Health listeners at the minute?
Yeah, absolutely. So when the book's released in December, going to any of the listeners who are police or ex-serving officers, they can have a free copy of the book completely signed by me. I'll just let me know or let yourself know, and we'll ship that over to them. No problem.
Oh, that's brilliant. How do you know if they're police officers or just someone who...
Yeah, so if you just, what we'll do, we'll ask for a picture of the warrant card and stuff like that, and then we're more than happy to kind of send that across. We do want to kind of send it to police officers and ex-cops only.
Okay then. So how can anyone who wants to contact you best get in touch?
It's Alex at Shifts to Success, or you can reach out to any of my social media, so Twitter, Instagram, or Facebook at Shifts to Success. Go on to the website www.shiftstosuccess.com.
Okay, that's brilliant. Alex, we're going to start winding things down now. It's been brilliant talking to you, and you are a testament to the kind of person that we want to get on the show. Someone, well, not only in both ways actually, because not only have you changed your wealth situation, but you've changed your health situation as well. From being depressed and suicidal, you've made yourself wealthy and healthy too. So thank you very much for being a shining example.
Oh, thank you very much, Andy. Appreciate that.
Problem at all. If you subscribe to the podcast at the end of October, we're going to do a draw and everybody will get a prize. We're going to have physical books and ebooks and discounted products from the guests that are on the show. So if you subscribe and send me an email at transformyourwealthandhealth@gmail.com to let me know that you've done so, then we will put you in the draw and we'll make the draw at the end of October and let the winner know. I hope you enjoyed that episode, and until next time, start transforming your wealth and health now.